To tell the story of Petersburg Home for Ladies is to speak of the legacy and vision of those women who believed in a cause with such earnest intention that a city rose to support their mission. What began as an idea in the mind of Mary Whyte from the rocking chair which sat upon her porch at 22 Franklin Street has grown into a destination for those who desire to connect with the genteel lifestyle of a bygone era throughout their aging years. On March 5th, 1925, a group of unassuming visionaries met at the local YMCA located on North Union Street in Petersburg, Virginia, to formally organize and commence the association to be known as Petersburg Home for Ladies. Officially opening on July 1st, 1925 at 407 Harrison Street, the fervor and passions from whence these visionaries drew their ideals established Petersburg Home for Ladies as that which filled a long-felt need within the Petersburg community. Mary Dunnington Friend Whyte was named after her maternal grandmother, Mary Ann Dunnington Venable, who lived near Farmville, Virginia from 1815 to 1877. Mary Whyte was born on January 20th, 1877, and was a mere 11 months old at her grandmother's passing. Perhaps it is this connection with her past which spurred her desire to support the elderly population. During the 1920s, Mary Whyte lived in a modest home on Franklin Street where passers-by would stop for momentary chats to take breath from the elements or simply share the local news. Her husband, Thomas J. Whyte, nicknamed Tucker since childhood, traversed the streets of Petersburg, traveling down Monroe Street and along the river in his dark business suit to friend and company. Like many local businessmen, he may have paused to watch the construction of the bridge over the Appomattox. Innovation was the talk of the times, and the front porch of 22 Franklin Street was certainly no exception to this type of enterprising exchange. With local newspaper The Progress Index a stone's throw away, and the faint sounds of presses rattling off the latest contents, did it ever cross Mary's mind that her story would be the next to grace the pages? As her ideas formulated, friends and business folk alike rallied in support of her unprecedented concepts. As culmination of thoughts, prayers, and luncheon conversations took shape, the March 5th, 1925 Progress Index wrote, "Organized body to establish women's home." The ideas were now tangible realities as newly appointed Board of Directors officers held titles for the first time, which were now accountable to a system of bylaws that remain largely unaltered to this day. Mary Dunnington Friend Whyte presided over the board of directors for the first 3 decades of the home's history. With Miss Mary at the helm, Petersburg Home for Ladies grew from the initial 3 residents living at 407 Harrison Street. By 1928, the ladies' home purchased 405 Harrison Street. The initial years of Petersburg Home for Ladies were no small undertaking. Navigating the Great Depression and yet still procuring a myriad of donations, Miss Mary forged ahead, believing in growth for the purpose of expanding the unchanging mission of Petersburg Home for Ladies to provide security, companionship, care, and love, and to be an agent of blessing to all whom we touch. A 3rd home was purchased on October 23, 1930, leaving the home to occupy 407, 405, and newly acquired 401 Harrison Street buildings. By July 1936, plans were set in place to expand again. A building committee was set in place and plans were solidified to build a new home modeled after the Ludwell Paradise House in Williamsburg at 36 West Fillmore Street. December 15, 1952, marked the last meeting over which Miss Mary presided, although she remained president until her death on November 23, 1955. First Vice President Mrs. Herbert Lightfoot occupied Miss Mary's chair until her passing. Mary Dunnington Friend Whyte is buried in the old ground section of Blandford Cemetery. In her final resting place, she is surrounded by her loved ones, just as she surrounded so many with love throughout her life. Petersburg Home for Ladies is both privileged and honored to have Miss Mary as our founder. Her legacy lives on through the innumerable lives that have been changed through her vision to found Petersburg Home for Ladies.